Welcome to another video. On today's
That was so aggressive.
Welcome to another video. On today's video, we're going to try and get some work done on the 350Z finally. I got a new microphone for the GoPro. Try and show you in the mirror. So let me know if you can actually hear me, if it's better or worse. It cost me a few $100, so I'm hoping it's better. Anyway, I got a whole heap of parts for the 2J. So I got this Garrett GT 3585, I think it was, on a Helps manifold with a tile 50mm gate, which is over there somewhere. Came off of Matt Bennett's 2J S13. He's put another one on, so I bought this second hand for now to get me through. Gonna chuck this on, but the wastegate part of the manifold is a bit too big and it's hitting on the strut tower, so we're going to try and work out how to get that to fit in, whether or not I cut that off and put that in a different location or what we do. We're going to try and work that out in this video. So I got that, and I got a whole heap of parts from Sleeker Spares, so we'll go through some of this. Got some GK Tech stuff, so that's a dual caliper handbrake mount, the same as I run in the V35. That's the mount, handle, all the lines, and the wheelwood master cylinder. Then we got some injectors. These bad boys are 1650cc, and I was very surprised because they're very small, but they're like almost 3 times the size of the ones I run in the S13, so they'll be good for a fair bit of power in E85. To run those bad boys, had to get obviously some plugs to fit them, and then a Raceworks fuel rail. So that's that one there. So we're gonna have to make that work with the standard manifold. Then we also got a Turbo Smart fuel pressure regulator. I haven't actually opened any of this that week, but we'll get through to that. And then I got a new timing belt kit while we're at it. So all the tensioner, bearing, genuine belt. Over here we got a genuine fan. It's actually really cheap, so way better than finding a second-hand one that's all cracked and stuffed. Got a Walbro fuel pump. Can't remember which one it is, but it's the biggest intake one you can get, I'm pretty sure. We got the water pump. So this is to delete the hydraulic fan thing that the Aristo has. So I think that's a super one. Then we got a clutch fan hub as well. That's not genuine. The genuine one is super expensive. That's an aftermarket one, so we'll see how that goes. Rear arms. We got tow, camber, and traction. Whether or not I use the tow or not, I've got to work out what coilovers I'm using, whether or not we're going to use a true coilover or the spring and shock combo. But that's for later on's worry. And then we got some rack spaces here, boss kit, lock kit. I'm not sure if I'm actually going to use it or not yet, but we might use this for now and then upgrade to something a bit better later. And then the expensive part was the Extreme clutch kit. Now this is a 230mm twin plate, and that's to suit the 2JZ with the CDO9 box. So it's got the 2JZ flywheel obviously, and then the spline is re-splined to suit the Nissan gearbox, and then it uses a T56 slave and a whole other bunch of conversion goodies. So got a lot of work ahead putting all this stuff in. Still got a few things that we need to buy, but this was just a quick list that I chucked together so we can start getting some work done to the car. And then we'll start adding to the list when we realise what else we need. I know I still need ECU and loom, all that stuff, but I'm going to try and leave that until a bit later on once all the fabrication work's done and the motor and stuff's in the car. So first of all, we're going to start looking at this turbo manifold and how we're going to get it to fit in the car. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to undo these bolts here and rotate this front housing around, because with this massive elbow on it, that's definitely not fitting. So I either need to rotate that around or chop it off and make another one, and then I can fit it back in and see how the wastegate port's looking, whether or not we have to chop that off, and work something out with that to get that in as well. Alright, so we undid the engine mounts, moved the motor over a little bit, and we've got enough room to actually slide the manifold on. But trying to move the motor back into its original position, the wastegate flange off of the manifold is hitting on the strut tower. So we're going to have to chop that off. I'm going to have to probably get a 90 degree, sort of tight 90 off of here, so that then I can get this bad boy and sit it closer to the actual manifold, probably around that sort of location there, and then that way we've got a bit of clearance between there and the actual strut tower, because we're going to need that clearance anyway to be able to get the manifold on and off the studs, and to get the motor back in where it is, because at the moment it's basically sitting on the manifold because there's no room there. And we've taken this off because basically it was only fitting before up there, out the bonnet, so really want to run that down something like that so it's out of the way and you can still run an intake somewhere up here. But the elbow down here is hitting on the oil return or oil drain, so that's going to be a later problem. But if I cut this off and do a bit of a sharper elbow, that should fit in there and should miss that, so that's no dramas. The first issue is cutting off this flange for the wastegate, so I'm going to cut that off and then put it all together and see how we go. So we got the flange cut off and the manifold back on and engine back in the spot it's going to be, and sort of worked it out that we're going to be able to get this tucked in down here, can't really see, but tucked in under this spot here, and then just need to get a little bend in here, maybe about a 30 degree or so, and then weld that on, and then you have to make a dump pipe and a screamer pipe, and that should be all good. So we're going to leave it at that for tonight, and then we're going to come back to this another day when we've got a bit more time. Alright, we're back again for another night down the shed working on the 350. No idea where I was up to in this video before because it's been so long between working on it, but I'm pretty sure I was hacking up this manifold to try and fit this wastegate. So I've hacked it up even more, got a little bend, got it tacked on to the actual manifold, and then tacked the wastegate flange back on here, and I've got it sitting down here now. It's very tight in there, and I don't think I'm going to be able to get it so that there's enough clearance here to be able to pull the manifold off with the motor in the car. So I think what I'm going to have to do is undo the engine mounts, push the motor over that way, and then pull the manifold out like that. That's the only real way I can see doing it, so that's how I'm going to do it. It's going to be way too much work to try and get that much closer over there that there's enough room to be able to pull it off the studs of the motor. So that can stay like that, and then we're pretty tight up the back here as well for the actual dump pipe off the turbo down to there, so there's going to have to be some wizardry done there to get that through. So this is a piece of 3-inch pipe, and that's going down through there. Only just fits in there, but we might be able to bash this tunnel in a bit here, so that might give us a bit of clearance because there's basically nothing in behind there. It's kind of just a hollow sort of bit, so we'll be able to beat that in a bit, get a little bit of room, and we can get the dump pipe down through here and through there. And then we've got the screamer's got to come off of the wastegate down the bottom after, and then that's going to go around the steering shaft, which is down there as well, and then around and straight down to the ground. So that's where we're at the moment. I haven't done anything with the actual front housing. I've got to modify that to clear through here and then come out through there to the intercooler and that. So yeah, I'm going to get to welding this up. I've never welded any manifolds up before, so don't really know what I'm doing with that, but I guess we'll just crank the welder up as hot as it goes and melt some shit into it. Also got some more boxes from Sleeker Spares, so we'll open that up in a sec. I think this video is just going to be me opening out boxes because I think that's what I did last time, but yeah, let's get to welding up this manifold. Whoa. That's not working out well. Oh, it's my headlight temper. Now can you move this way a little bit? Alright, I'll leave that there then. I outsourced the camera holding job. Camera holding? Holding. The car speed. Got it all welded up. Was a bit scary at the start there. Definitely almost blew through. Then I got a bit of a hang of it around here a little bit. It's not the prettiest, but hopefully it should hold on. That one's a little bit better. This manifold's so full of oil, because I think we blew a motor on it before I bought it, and I've degreased the shit out of the manifold and still couldn't get all the oil out of it. So every time I welded it, just heated it up and oil just come flying through. It's not the prettiest on the inside, but hopefully it holds up. You don't really need to see in there, it's pretty bad. But I'm going to let that cool down. Over here we got a whole heap of parts from Sleeker Spares again. I can't even remember what it is because I ordered it so long ago and I haven't opened it up yet, so we'll open it up and see what we got. Invoice, don't need to see that. Alright, we got, that's the flange for the dump part, so we can make the exhaust up. V-band kit, so we can join up to, put a joint at the dump. I got another V-band kit that I ordered earlier as well, so we should have two V-bands on the exhaust. Some joiners, that's a big 4-inch bad boy, which I reckon goes to the pod filter. Big 4-inch bad boy. We're going to do a 4-inch intake. Had to get a small one so we can actually fit it in here somewhere because there's not much room. So I don't know where I'm going to put it yet. Don't know. We'll work that out. Put that in there. Bunch more joiners. Joiner. Another joiner. Another joiner. And then a whole heap of alloy bends. So that one's going to come off the turbo, I think. And then we've got 3 or 2.5 inch. No, it's 3 inch, I reckon. Those. So the idea was going to be intercooler, and the idea was to put these bends onto the cooler like that. So then we only have a straight joiner on the end there. So basically have the cooler in the front here, wherever it sits, with these bends welded on, and then just a straight piece straight to the turbo. Same with over here, flipped over the other way, like that. Straight piece, straight in there. I think I was going to have to weld a bend on there actually, and then bring it around, but need to get it all mounted up to be able to work out what's going on there. But now I've obviously shown you all the parts. I've got no excuses. Need to start actually putting it together. And yeah, in the next video I guess we'll have the manifold and that back on. I don't want to put it on yet because it's super hot, but we should have that back on. And then I've got to start whipping off the timing belt cover because I've got to do the water pump. I've got a non-hydraulic one because this has got some kind of other pump in it to do the fans. So I've got to get rid of that, put that one on, put a new timing belt on, do all those bits and pieces. I've also got to work out what's going on with the coolant line that goes behind here. I think I've got to block that off and block it off on the other side as well. And then mount up the intercooler, the radiator, which I got as well. And yeah, there's plenty of work to be done. Just need to find some time and motivation to get it done. So that's going to be it for today anyway. Goodbye. We're back again for another night working on the 2JZ 350Z. Not sure where we ended up last time because it's been so long since I worked on it again. So yeah, basically last night I did a bit of work on it, didn't film anything, but give you a quick look. So what we did was replace the timing belt with a new OEM one, new tensioner, all that jazz. Basically just tensioner and timing belt. And then back on. And then replace the old hydraulic water pump with a clutch fan one. And it basically had all this other shit on it. So over here, I can show you actually. So this is the Aristo water pump. It basically just has a pulley on the front here, and then there's another little motor or something in here, and it pumps hydraulic fluid through to the fans. Not quite sure exactly how it works, but I didn't want it anyway, so I got rid of that. And yeah, got an OEM clutch fan with an aftermarket fan hub here. And then yeah, just trying to mock up the radiator and intercooler to see how that's going to fit. But we're very limited to room with the clutch fan here, so yeah, I don't really like thermo fans. Clutch fans are a lot more reliable, so I'm trying my hardest to keep the clutch fan. So just trying to sort of mock it all up. I've had to roughly sit where I want to sit it, and obviously the bonnet was hitting, so I've had to cut that out, and then got that to fit with the radiator, but then the fan was hitting, so I had to cut out where the fan was as well. And now that's all clearing there. But the next biggest issue is trying to work out how to get the intercooler in here, because we've only got a tiny gap here and the standard Rio bar's there. So I would like to try and reuse the standard Rio bar, but I don't think that's going to happen. I just like the idea of standard stuff because it's obviously been designed by Nissan to crash on an impact, a big impact, but still be strong enough to sort of nudge someone or whatever if you have a small impact. So I'm not too sure. I'm gonna probably take the front bar off now and measure up basically from the radiator to where the intercooler would sit, and I might be able to get away with just notching out the standard one. It's a nice big chunky square bar, so I might be able to get away with just notching it out. And then I've got to make mounts and stuff up anyway, so it's not a big deal if I have to get rid of the actual standard Rio, but I would like to try and keep it. But yeah, basically the radiator I've chose to use was just an SR21 because the outlets are on the right side. So down the bottom comes out there, goes into there, and then over here you can use a CA one or whatever, but obviously in this application with the clutch fan it's not going to work because the outlet would basically be here right where the fan is. So I've basically got the SR one, so it comes out here and goes across and over to here. So that was my idea with that. The 350Z or V35 one or whatever, pretty sure the outlets are wrong, that's why I didn't go with that one. Probably could have got a little bit wider radiator because there's a fair bit of room between the chassis rails here. There's a bit of a gap here and a bit of a gap over here, but I do still need to get some intercooler piping through there, and these headlights are chunky, so there's probably just enough room to get a cooler pipe through both sides with the headlights still there. So I think the SR radiator was a good idea. It's just an eBay one, same as what I normally run in my S13, so it'll be good enough for now. If we do have any issues with it, I can upgrade it later. All the mounting points and stuff should be the same as like a Koyo rad or something decent. So someone's doing some skids. Just another day in Lonsdale. That was the bike, I think. Whole road's full of smoke. Could have told me it was doing it. Maybe he'll come back. I think they're just sitting down the road, so I'll try and egg them on. Anyway, that was exciting, but back to it. Yeah, I forgot where I was up to, but basically, yeah, eBay radiator. Got that mocked up. Got an Aeroflow intercooler here from Celica Spares. So yeah, I'm gonna rip the bumper and the Rio off, sit the intercooler in, and sort of measure basically where it's gonna go. Or actually, I might just maybe I'll just take the bumper off, measure the distance from the actual radiator to the Rio, and then see if we can just notch it out to be able to get the Rio to sit in there. And then yeah, maybe we can chuck that in tonight. Can't remember where I left off the other night, but I'm pretty sure I was in the process of putting the radiator and intercooler in the front here, and basically ran out of room. If I didn't end up filming exactly where it was, I'll put the photo in here. And basically I could probably make it work just, but it's way too tight, and if I hit anything in the front at all, tiniest hit, it's going to push everything into the motor and it's going to be no good. So there's a few options, and I think I've made up my mind. I'm just not sure if I'm going to do two of the options. So first option was to put a rear sump on it. So basically, instead of the sump sitting here in front of the cross member and in between the sway bar there, the sump will go onto the rear of the motor, and then we move the motor back and the sump sits behind the steering rack. I've just got to measure up a rear sump to make sure that's going to work, but we've got this firewall here, which is like a fake firewall before you get to the actual firewall down in here. So we can cut that out, and that'll give you an extra 50 mil or so. I do want to keep it on the sides here just to protect the brake master cylinder and the clutch master cylinder, because with the turbo there it will get super hot being a right hand drive. So if I was to get rid of it, I'd cut this out and then fold it back and then keep that as a separate section so that we can move the motor back into there. So I'm still undecided if I'm going to do that or not. If I was to do that, I could probably just fit the intercooler and radiator in the front still, but still I'm only going to get about 100 mil more, so I'm only going to have 100 mil of free space here. So not really too keen on that. So the second option, which I'm probably going to do now anyway, is chuck the radiator back here. So basically there's a few benefits to it. It'll give a bit more weight to the rear. At the moment, stock sort of trim as it was, I think it was 52% weight to the front, 48% at the back. So if we bring the radiator to the back, it'll be at least sort of 1% move towards the back, so closer to 50-50. The only thing is we're going to have to get rid of some of this factory bracing. So this is like a shock tower brace, I reckon. So if we get rid of that, that'll allow a bit more room. And then we've also got all this stuff in here as well. So not sure what I'm going to do with that. I might end up cutting all that out. I have to do a little bit of research to see if that's actually doing much chassis wise, but I think that's just sort of like holding the speakers and stuff in. I don't think that's really doing too much there, so we'll get that out, and then got to cut out all this boot in here, the boot floor. That way, when the air comes through to the radiator, which is going to be sitting somewhere in here, we'll have a hole in the actual rear window here, going through so it flows through the radiator with the fans on the back here, and then pulling out towards the ground in a big hole there. And then I'm thinking of making some ducting from these windows here as well. That way, when the car's sideways, it's getting a bit of air flow through into there as well, because it is going to be a drift car, so you can obviously set it up so it's getting cooling when you're going straight, but most of the time when you're driving it hard, you're actually sideways, so getting a little bit of air from the side in wouldn't hurt, I don't think. So yeah, that's basically where I'm at. So I think I've got a whole heap of clips from the last few weeks on doing bits and pieces to this, so I'll probably put a video together for all that, and then I'm going to start another one with cutting all the boot out and cutting all this bracing out, and doing a few other bits and pieces. So for this video, that's going to be it, and hopefully you join us for the next one. Bye.